Hey everyone, Ross here. If you're thinking about becoming a freelance filmer or photographer, then I'm going to give you everything you need to know so you've got the best chances of success. Now, if you're new around here, I'm going to give you a bit of background to myself. My name's Ross Welch and I own one of the most versatile production companies in the UK. We consistently turn over 6 figures a year in revenue. I employ an internal team. I employ an external sales team. I own a studio. I'm still in my 20s and I have heaps of experience as a freelancer before we turn to a production company. Now, things I want to cover in this video is going to be equipment, pricing, how to get more clients, pushing your comfort zone, and collaborating and sharing your work with people. So let's get right into the first section. Now, going freelance can be a huge leap of faith for some people. And the first thing I want to talk about is equipment, because we can really easily get caught up on what equipment we need and be overwhelmed with the fact that we simply, when we're starting out, don't have the money to be buying the 10, 20, 50,000 pound plus cameras. Now, equipment can be very deceiving, and your pricing, which we'll talk about in a moment, can be reflective on what equipment you own. However, when you're starting out, just buy what you can readily afford. And here's a little tip as well. If you have the balls, you don't need to have a camera to begin with. You can always reach out to people to see if you can go and film for them, and therefore then use the money to reinvest in equipment. Now, I completely appreciate for most people it's not the case, and you're going to be looking to get a camera to build a portfolio with, which is equally important. So if you are looking at a camera, just spend as much as you can afford to spend at the moment in time. Now, don't fall into the trap of buying cheap, because if you buy cheap, you're gonna end up buying twice and it's gonna cost you twice the amount of money. So if you can afford the more expensive camera, then I would suggest doing that. If you're still unsure on how this business venture is gonna turn out for you, then just go with what you can afford for the time being. But just do be aware that as you grow as a business and become successful, as I no doubt that you will, you really will need to reinvest that money in equipment. So do think about that when you're starting out. Typically, you're going to want a camera and you're going to want a lens or two. 50mm prime lens is a perfect lens to begin with, as well as a zoom. Something like a 24-105 gives you a real wide area, and then the 50mm will give you the opportunities for low light situations. Also, lighting, you want to purchase at least one light, so you're looking to spend around about £50 to £100 there. LED is the way forward, so stay clear of the bulbs. Then you've pretty much got your setup. You may want to consider buying a microphone. Something like a Rode Video Mic Pro will do the job if you're starting out, and then when you become more successful and established, you can invest in things like the NTG3, the Rode Filmmaker kits. You're looking to then spend hundreds of pounds on your equipment. But for the time being, you want to get yourself a camera, a nice lens, a microphone, and a light, and you're ready to go. That should set you up for interview situations as well as run and gun sort of stuff. Of course, something I didn't just mention is a tripod. And again, you can pick these up if you're starting out relatively cheap, but something like a Manfrotto, a high-end name brand, will take you through this journey. So do consider that when you're looking at your equipment options. Next, you want to consider building a portfolio, and a portfolio is really important if you're going to want to land those big contract deals down the line. Often people won't invest in you and pay for your services if you don't already have a portfolio and you can prove what you're able to do. So think and ask yourself, do you have any friends with businesses, any family relatives? What are you passionate about? And ask yourself these questions, and then you'll be able to determine whether or not there's opportunities for you to go and film something that you enjoy. And it ultimately means when you're starting out, you're going to film a lot of things for free, just so you can build your portfolio, and then you can start charging once you've built that. It's really important that you build a varied portfolio too. You don't want to be too niche when you're going freelance, because The whole point of being freelance is you need to be able to do a variety of work because you don't know when your next paycheck's coming in. And that can be the scary thing. And for those of you who are thinking that that is really scary, start thinking about the future and building a production company, because when you start to bring your clients into you in-house rather than going through agencies and platforms, you build a solid, stable foundation for a business. Something that means that you don't have these peaks and troughs like you see in the freelance market. So your portfolio should consist of show reels, work that you've done, which can include events, weddings, products, and it should definitely include filming and photography as well. You want to broaden your services so that your clients or potential clients can select from what they want from you, and that you're not just limiting yourself at this moment in time, because like I said, sometimes it can be feast or famine. When you have a lot of work on, it's great, you're earning heaps of money, and then it can dry up for a period of time. So offer a wide range of services, but build a portfolio, showcase your work on Instagram, ask friends and family, and do what you find passionate and follow your dreams. That's how I very much did it. I used to be a professional skier, as you'll know from some of my previous videos. And it was that passion for action sports that meant that now we do most of our work in the sports industry, which means that every day when I come to work, it is so much fun. The guys here love coming to work as well. So we've built a team around that foundation of passion. And I think that you should do the same as well. So write down on a piece of paper now what you're passionate about, if you know any friends and family with businesses, and start to build a varied portfolio for your freelance career. Now, something that's key to learn earlier on is how to take criticism. No one likes their work being criticized, but you need to see this as not a personal attack on you, but just a way of making your work better. Because trust me, you're going to come up with clients that are going to have one idea in mind, and despite your better judgment, you're going to feel like that you're destroying the piece of work that you've worked so hard on. And it's a horrible feeling when you think one way, but ultimately the client is always right. If that's the vision that they have in their head, then that's what we need to be delivering. So it's a good habit to start asking people about their opinion and start taking criticism, but do take it with a pinch of salt as well. It doesn't mean that you need to follow everyone's word, because, you know, we've held focus groups before and we've had split decisions. Now, who do you listen to? It needs to be the people whose opinion you value the most, and often I would say anyone within the industry. So avoid asking friends and families who aren't in the creative industry. Reach out to people, build that network, and ask them the question about what do you think about my show reel, and listen to their advice. If they're in the industry, they will likely know what clients are looking for and what you should be doing. So look to take criticism and build a business that can be adaptable to all scenarios. Getting clients can be a really sticking point, and it's often the thing I get asked for the most, and we have done another video on this, so I'm just going to brush over this briefly. So make sure you have a look at our various platforms and look into the videos that we offer on there. If you're thinking about going freelance, or perhaps you've just made that jump, then obviously it comes the question of where are you going to get your work from? And it may be that you'd actually take a gradual approach to this. So you have a part-time job somewhere else, and then you start to drip feed your business, and you can focus maybe 2 days or 3 days a week on your freelance career, and then you work the remaining days of the week in a different industry, and that provides you with your initial income, so you don't then need to be so worried about when your next paycheck is. This does hinder your progress slightly, but I'm by all means not saying that you should leave your job and just stop everything with no set plan. There needs to be a plan in place with some work coming in. So for a lot of people, they take a gradual approach where they work part-time in a job, and then they spend the remaining time building their connections and their freelance career. Now, getting clients is very much a case of outreaching to them. They're not going to just come to you, okay? I can assure you that, especially if you're starting out and you don't have much experience or much work, then you need to be reaching out to people, and that's just emailing people. And be as relaxed and as normal as possible. You want to be appealing, and just ring people up and email them and say, hey, you know, I'm just starting out, I'm offering my services cheap while I build my portfolio, you know, are you interested? Is there any work? Is there any connections? And you are going to get a lot of no's, a lot of people that aren't interested. And don't see that as a downside, and don't get disheartened and think that people aren't believing in you. It's just not the right time. A lot of time when clients say no, it's actually a not now rather than a straight up no, I never want to speak to you again. Okay, so when you're reaching out to these people, don't get disheartened. Continue pushing forward, and you should be aiming to email around about 20 to 50 leads a day. 20 leads being quality leads. For God's sake, don't copy and paste. Whatever you do, make sure you're giving a unique email to each one of these people, and it's going to mean that your chances of success are much higher. So outreach, start emailing people, come up with a document that lists the people that you need to chase. If you haven't heard from them for 2 days, drop them another email so that you can chase them up. If you don't hear from them for another 2 days, send them another email to chase them up. Now, you'll notice that I focus on emails a bit because a lot of people don't like to pick up the call. Cold calling is so much more effective. And if anyone tells you that cold calling is a thing of the past as well as email outreach, then they're lying to you. It's bullshit. For us as an established business, our cold emails and cold outreaches to businesses is still such a key element. And we make tens of thousands of pounds from this each year. So it's bullshit if anyone says otherwise. It's just a mindset you need to get yourself into, and you have a valuable service to offer. Everyone needs content, and if you're starting out, you are in a great situation to grow because you can adapt and build to those things. We have huge overheads, so we need to reflect that in our pricing, whereas you are likely to have lower overheads so you can be more adaptable with those clients. Now, when you start to grow, and this is something that we'll talk about in pricing in a moment, when you start to grow, so will your prices, and as you become more established, you deserve more, and you shouldn't undercut the industry by any means. There will be uniform kind of unspoken things, because if you're offering a major service for £50, firstly you need to think about, what does that say to your client? But anyway, I'll talk to you about that I'm getting one step ahead of ourselves here. So I'll talk to you about that in the pricing points in a moment. Okay, so gaining clients still, we're looking at other avenues here. If you're freelance, you want to reach out to agencies and platforms online such as Janiro, 90 Seconds, Film and TV Pro. Sign up to these websites. You sometimes have to pay a service, but often if you're having to pay for a service, it means that the quality you're getting is much better as well. Join groups on Facebook such as Creative Networking, in need of an editor. There's various groups out there that can pass work around, and it's definitely about collaboration over competition here. So sign up to those things, offer yourself, put yourself forward for as much work as you can do, and see what comes. That's how you can also start to build your portfolio, and then it will lead you on to bigger clients and higher budgets down the line. So when you're starting, work all the hours you can in getting clients through your door and filling up your days with as many shoots as you possibly can do. Now, pricing. So again, I think I've done another video on this, or I've certainly mentioned this in our other videos in the past. And it's a question I get asked a lot by people who are just thinking about going freelance or have maybe just made that jump, and it's how much should I charge? And the honesty is, charge what you like or what you feel comfortable with. There's no set rule. You don't have to charge a certain amount. I will just give you an idea of what people charge from our experience. And we use a lot of freelancers now as well. So for a per project basis, we'll bring them in. And sometimes it's the case that the agencies, the platforms, the client dictates how much budget they have to give you. And in other cases, it's a case of you telling them or giving them a quote on how much this is going to cost. So, two ways of splitting this up. One is to do a filming day rate and an editing day rate and keeping them the same, or you can split them up. So some people prefer to say that their filming day rate is X and their editing day rate is half of X, or a fraction of the price. We actually charge the same for our filming and our editing day rate because of our overheads, because we have a dedicated editor who is high quality and produces phenomenal work. And obviously our filming includes equipment, and we have high-end filmers here as well. So that's why we charge the same for both, because the service the client gets in is exceptional. Now, if you're starting out, you may want to cater to budgets a little bit more. I don't think you should assume you know what budget the client has if they haven't told you. And it can be a bit of a game of poker a lot of the time. You might feel like you don't want to charge a certain amount, and they might not want to tell you what their budget is. And it can be a case of just working around each project as it comes and taking case by case. If you're starting out, it's up to you whether or not you keep your editing and your filming day rate the same, or whether or not you want to charge a slightly lower editing day rate. Also, here we're going to talk about your photography rate versus your filming rate, and that is likely to be different as well. Certainly at the moment, I know that a lot of freelance photographers that we use will do a combined day rate for photography work and editing, and they'll just give us a set fee. And that fee can be anything from £200 to £1,000, depending on how long the shoot is and also the level of the photography work we're looking for. So that's something to keep in mind for your photographs. For your filming side of things, you are initially going to be looking to charge around about £100 a day when you're starting out, and then that will increase as your equipment increases and your portfolio increases, and you start to build a solid client base in terms of your high value names and your blue chip clients. You can then charge anything up to, in excess of £600 a day. So you'll get more of a gauge of that once you've started out and you talk to other freelancers and ask them how much roughly that they're charging, and you'll be able to get a better gauge on where you fit in the industry. Now, that's not to say that if you are thinking about making that step that you can charge £100 a day from the offset. Like I said, you still need a portfolio, and you might just need the work, and you might just want the experience, especially if it's something that you're passionate about. So do just think about that. There's no set fee that you should be charging, but that just gives you a good enough guideline. Now, when you're quoting for this work and pricing it down, you do want to give the client just a clear figure at the bottom. Don't make it overcomplicated. Just give them a figure of what the price is going to be for that project, and they're going to far more appreciate that than having to list everything in line items. And like I said, you might even just want to do a combined price with filming and editing. And by the way, if a client is asking for you to do some filming and photographs in the same shoot, charge your filming day rate. Don't charge your photography day rate, because your filming day rate is going to be higher and you're offering filming and photography services. Just keep in mind that this might affect your editing. You might look at a couple of days of editing opposed to just doing one. Okay, so I hope you found that useful in terms of pricing. A piece of advice that you need to be thinking about all the time. They say that everything you have in life is inside your comfort zone, and everything that you don't have is outside your comfort zone. And that couldn't be truer. If you think about it, everything that you've achieved, you've had to push your comfort zone for, and going freelance is no exception. If you're watching this video, then you're obviously serious about learning about becoming freelance, which means that straight away you've got the correct mindset. And do I think that everyone that's watching this video will be successful? No, I don't. It would be silly for me to imagine that. It will only be the select few that are really taking in every piece of information and wanting this, and really wanting this to be such a successful business and career for them, and turning your passion into a long-term career where you can make the high end of 5 figures if you don't want to turn it into a production company and think about the future and have a £1 million business to sell at the end. So keep pushing your comfort zone, stepping outside of that, offering new services. You're going to find yourself in lots of environments which are completely alien, and you're going to have to adapt to it. We all learn by making mistakes, and it's important that if you make a mistake, just own up to it and be honest and say to the client, look, I've overlooked this, I didn't expect this. You will have some setbacks. The road to success is not a straight line. It is very much a squirrely line with lots of backward steps, forward steps, sideways steps. It is crazy, but it doesn't mean that you should give up. And those of you who succeed and will make thousands of pounds will be the ones that continue in the face of adversity and can keep pushing forward. Now, finally, I've given you so much information here to give you the best foundations of starting freelance. And collaboration over competition is going to be the thing that really takes you forward. It's a strange mindset, and if you're in any industry other than the creative industry, particularly filming and photography, then everyone's going to disagree with you on this because it's a dog-eat-dog world for most other industries. Whereas if you're filming or photography, collaboration over competition always wins. And you'll find that when you grow and you have excess work, you want to keep that client happy, so you will refer that work through to friends of yours who are in the industry, and they will do the same. And that's how a lot of work gets passed around, especially when you're freelance. You'll build a solid network of people with the same passion as you do and the same kind of industry focus, and they will pass work to you as you can pass to them. So collaboration over competition is key. Help other people and give back as well. When you're in my position or you're growing and someone who's just starting out is asking you for advice, give them the information that they need as well, whether it's on equipment, things you've learned, because collaboration is going to take you so much further forward, and it means that you can be earning 4 figures a month easy, the high end of 4 figures, if not 5 figures, okay? So something to think about, and I hope you found this video really useful. If you want to continue learning about going freelance or building a production company, then go over and join our Perspective Academy Facebook group. We're going to have so much information on this, along with live Q&As with industry experts, so that you can have a better understanding of what agencies are looking for, what other people in the industry are, how you should market your business, everything related to building a production company and going freelance in the creative industry. So I look forward to seeing you over there, and give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video.